Yeah.
Yes.
All the XML files, go ahead and import it. Whatever hereafter, okay, whatever XMLs will be sent across to you guys, just import those XMLs and keep them ready. And the rest of it, we'll take it in the session itself.
Okay.
And I assume most of you have I.O, right? It's okay even if they have a higher version, no issues with that. I'm at least hoping it should be 8 and above. The current instance which I'll be showing you guys will be as new as the fresh setup, okay? As soon as you install your local instance, however your setup comes through, same setup for kept it ready for you. So first, to figure out which version you guys will be using is, go to debug page and you'll get this icon. Click on above. This will tell you which version of it you're using, okay? In case you guys don't know which version of which you installed, if it has been long time, which you don't know, just go to and figure out if anyone has less than this versions, please let me know. 8 and 8.1, 8.2, anything less than this, please let me know. Srividya and Mahati have 8 and version. Shravan has 8.2. How about Sanjana and Vidyadhar? And I'm sure Archana and Vishwajit have 8 and
I have it.
8.2.
Is this the same?
Okay. You, Sanjana and Vidyadhar?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, so first and foremost, let's start with the HR applications. If you guys have already imported the files, you should be able to get it.
For what file we have an error?
No, I am importing duplicate copies. That's showing me. It's the same file. I mean, just in case, the file name named as Finance App Refresh Rule. Just see if there is a name for you guys in this field. This is one. Finance App Group Refresh Rule.
Yes.
You don't have a name, correct?
Finance space app.
No, the rule name, which has the file name as Application Finance App Group Refresh Rule. Open that file and see if there in line number 3, do you have a name?
Okay.
Is it just an empty quotes or does it have a name? Just refer that.
Yes, this is an empty code.
And it's empty code. Okay, I'm pinging you guys the name of the rule. Just update that. It should be Finance App Group Refresh Rule.
Finance space app group.
No, I just pinged as it is. Copy paste as it is. No space between Finance App. Yeah, I'll just give a couple of 1 or 2 minutes that you guys do that successfully. Are we good?
Yes, this.
So once you're done with the import, right, these are the things which you can see. Let's go one by one. HR employee application, which is a delimiter application. Okay. Here the data file and the same zip file, we do have the CSV files provided to you. These are the 4 CSV files which is provided to you. Wherever you have downloaded or wherever you're keeping this copy of your zip files extract, right, please go ahead, open that file extract, copy the file path. Have you guys done it? Update the file path here along with the file name, okay? And do a test connection and confirm me once you guys have it there. If anyone has issues, please get it addressed right away. So I'm assuming, as I didn't get a response from anybody, I'm assuming everyone have got a test connection. Successful message.
Yes, this.
Yes, it's coming.
Okay. So in okay, now go back to the first page. Now let's go through the steps one by one. Okay. We have provided the name of the application as HR employees. We have marked admin owner as SP admin, and type is delimiter. Since it's a file-based application, we have given it as a delimiter. And like I mentioned, HR employees and HR contractors will be coming as HR data. So only for those applications you can see this authoritative source checked. If this comes in any accounts which comes in as HR source, right, those will be marked as identities. Okay. And then in the configuration you can see the file path. If you have since you have all of you have it in the local, we have given it as local. If you have it in a different server with different protocols, one of these options will be selected. If it is a shared file path wherein you give the server name, port with which you can access it, username, password, all this you'll be selecting based on your business. Right now, since everyone are doing it on a local, we are marking it as local. And the delimiter, if you open the file and see, it's comma separated. So we have given the comma here. And since our files have, all the files have the first name has header, we have marked it. Since we have this marked, when you do a preview, right, you will get the data back as it is in the same order since you have the headers in the spreadsheet. If you don't have there are cases wherein you won't get the headers. But since it will be a one-time details which will be provided from the application team, they'll tell you what each column means. So this configuration, whatever I'm highlighting, right, these you'll have to manually add it if you don't have column headers. For SailPoint to understand. Okay. And right now we have an unique ID which we treat it as an employee ID here. Here I'm going to mark same employee ID as identity name and display name. And since this is an HR application, no correlation will be configured here, but there is a manager correlation. Like I said, employee ID here, right? This is the unique ID which we are considering for this implementation. And if you go to this manager column, manager ID, right? This is where you're telling the details of the manager will be there. And what is this data corresponding to? If you have email ID of the user, you'll give it as you'll select in correlation as email. Right now, since I'm highlighting when I'm in this row, right? Mary Johnson has a manager ID as 1A. So you're trying to tell SailPoint that Mary Johnson's manager is James Smith via this marking of employer manager ID to employee ID. That is what is the configuration you are trying to do. In the current data file, whatever is the column header that you mark it on the left hand side, and to which attribute of identity you are trying to mark is what you have selected in the drop down. Like I said, if you have in any chance you have an you have an email ID. Let's say like you select email ID here. Since we have the data as employee ID, we are selecting the employee ID. Okay. Primarily for your HR sources, this manager correlation is very important. If you don't do this correlation, you're not going to get the manager details updated. do the same thing for your contractor information. Go and update the path and do a test connection and see if it is successful. To see all the configuration, it is same. So why I have separated out is there are instances wherein in a given company, there could be a different source of contractor data, a different source of employee data, different source of other user type data. So in some companies, all the data could be coming from a single source. So to just give you business heads up, we are separating it out and showing it to you. So all these configuration will be done from scratch in your client systems. Any doubts so far?
Nokita. No, this one.
Okay. So if you see this is the HR data, right? So let me I'll let you do the configurations on the application side, right? Now I'll tell you what are we doing on the identity level. Everyone go to the settings, global settings. You'll be able to get these identity mappings. Okay, for your example, I have showed you employee ID. This employee ID doesn't come by default. Okay, this is a new attribute which you are trying to import it. Out of box SailPoint doesn't have this attribute, but I am for my implementation I have this unique ID which I said it. So I need to have it in a system always. So I'm going to create this as an external attribute, and anything which is marked as searchable here, right? That is where you can do a quick check on the SailPoint system. That means there'll be a column separated out for in your database if you mark it as employee ID. I mean, if you mark it as searchable, okay? And where are you getting this employee ID source from? Is from these two HR systems. Go back and check your configurations on your identity mappings. Next, I'm showing it to you on first name. First name, I'm doing it the same thing. Here, I'm not marking it as because SailPoint gives you a couple of gives you the attributes which are by default searchable, okay? Except this employee ID, you see whatever you see, right? The rest of it, administrator, gross, display name, email, first name, last name, inactive, manager, all these are coming by default, okay? All these are by default searchable. Anything apart from this you want to do a searchable attribute, you'll have to mark it and create it as a new external attribute. So at the backend, right now you see only this is extended, right? Let us go ahead and do the other configurations for the first name, last name. Try to do it from the UI if you're able to do it. If you're getting error, I'll make the changes and send it across in the chain. Teams. I'll give you the whole file in Teams. So you can get these parameters, okay? Okay, download this and directly import it. You should be able to see all the changes here after. Can you do that immediately? So apart from the given attributes, I'm going to create new attributes, which is department, location, and job title. The attribute name at the back end and how you want to see it. We usually give it as display names. Everything will come in capital. First letter will be capital. The rest of it will have the small letters. So I'm making this as searchable. What is the source? Extranet number. There'll be only one right now. After I save these changes, it will come as 2. See this? So that means one of the columns in your table will be blocked for department so that it can start storing this data there. If you don't make it as searchable, it will not store it in the database, but rather it will have club it together and put it in a map format. You cannot do an individual search on these columns if you don't make it as searchable attribute. all these, I prefer if you guys do it simultaneously. If you are not able to do it, please take notes of all these and do it by the next sessions, because as and when, right, until we end of these training sessions, we'll be using all this somewhere or the other. Because whatever assignments we give, right, based on these important attributes only, we'll be giving it to you. So make sure you do it, at least if not now, by end of tomorrow sessions. I want everything to be done. So I'm giving department, location, job title. So job title is coming only part of HR data. Okay. So
Yes,
totally
teacher.
employee ID, department, location, and job title. These are the 4 external attributes which we have configured. So this is the 4 external attributes we have.
Disha, so job title is only for HR employees. Okay.
Correct. Okay. Are you guys done?
Disha.
Whoever wants me to stop, at least those people just go ahead and say, give us a couple of minutes instead of everyone saying yes in case you guys are not confident. Can I assume that everyone is done?
Yes, Disha.
Okay. Now go to the setup. You'll have tasks. Select account application under the drop down. Give a name. Let's do HR data. You can select how many other applications you want, but let's do the HR employee. Okay. Contractors and employees here. Okay. Let me quickly explain you the what are the options available here. Okay. First one is mandatory. Which applications you're considering for aggregation right now is what you provided in the drop down. In whatever order you give, right? In the same order, it will provide. It will run the aggregation in sequence. Okay. First HR employees. Once it's done, only then it will pick up the HR contractors. Next, this is the condition. Like based on what condition do you want to filter? Explain that okay, only for these particular users you want to give it something like filters. In that scenario, you write a rule. It's a selector rule. You can go ahead and see this rule will get executed every time a new identity is getting created. Okay, and we do have roles in SailPoint, right? Every time aggregation is run, if you want those roles to be updated, right, refreshed, right, when you check this box, and we have something like policies. It's a defined thing telling that okay, if anything outside this happens, it will flag telling that it's kind of an it raises a flag telling that okay, this should not happen, but it has happened. For those kind of flag enablement, we do this check active policies. For some kind of applications, we don't want to create if you're not able to correlate the application. So primarily when you're running the target applications, right, we select this box. If you check this box now, right, you're trying to create identities only as a part of HR, right? If you select this, you will not be creating identities because there is no identities in the system and you cannot do the correlation, right? In that scenario, it will block creation of new identities. So you have to keep this unchecked for HR employees at any cost. Okay, and we have something like risk scores. To update that risk source of our identity level, we select this option. If there is a change in identity information, right? Let's assume like before you ran the aggregation, you had an identity in a different location. Now it's got updated to a new location. You want to keep any changes on the identity level, you mark it. On the identity object, you'll have something like snapshot. At object type snapshot, it will capture what is the previous status and what is the current status. All the attributes it will be captured. So if you want to maintain that, we check this box. Delta aggregation. Let's assume like I ran my last aggregation at 10 o'clock in the morning. Now I want to run it at 6 o'clock. So whatever changes which happen between my 10 o'clock till now, only those accounts will be considered if I enable this delta aggregation. It's mostly available to the out-of-box connectors like Active Directory, LDAP, these things. We enable this option. Detect deleted accounts. We have to check this box in case of HR data or other target information. Also, it's not necessary that it has to be always HR. If you want to check if you want to delete the accounts which which is not there in my spreadsheet. Yesterday I had the row of data, but right now I don't have it. I need to delete the accounts, right? This is what I check that box. And you can keep a threshold of minimum, like it should not go ahead and delete more than 100 accounts or 500 accounts. You keep the threshold here in the number of accounts, maximum deletions. Scope, refreshing scope, we'll discuss as and when we require with respect to scopes, okay? Disable optimization of unchained accounts. Let's assume like you had a couple of data yesterday and there has been only few updations which is happening. If there is no update done, no changes are done on a particular account, right? It will not, SailPoint will not consider those if you select this option. If during aggregation you missed or something is messy and you want to do all account aggregation, full aggregation, in that scenario you always have to check this box. Okay, promote managed attributes. If you have any entitlement objects in your application, you need to have this selected. Okay, sometimes we do have an option of multiplex application. In that scenario, it creates applications on the go. If you want to disable that auto creation of applications in the system, right, you select this option.
What is a multiplex application?
Multiplex application is like no, that is not a multiplex application. Okay, let's assume like you have a shared drive access, okay? There could, in a given company, there could be multiple shared drive locations and multiple access level, right? So if when you go and fetch the attributes, what they'll be doing is they'll be populating all the data into a single delimiter application. Let's assume just an example, okay? Either it could be in JDBC or it could be in delimiter application. What happens is, okay, in that particular spreadsheet, it will tell you which shared drive, who has access, what access he has. Okay, so if you see at a higher level, it's all shared drive, but it will have server name details also, right? Shared drive is nothing but server in that particular path. They're trying to tell you, okay, it's like a shared access where all of us can start accessing or putting files into that. It will be commonly available throughout the teams, right? In that scenario, for each and every server, if you want to separate it out as application, right? Now tomorrow, client can come back and telling that, okay, whoever are a part of this server, right? This shared file, shared path, they want the list of accounts associated with that. You're getting the scenario?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's assume like this is what is the data. Okay, just to simplify you, I'm giving it as a server name. Okay, now this is my server 1 and server 2. So these are the users who have access to this shared drive path and what access they do have. So this is my entitlement. This is the details of my account, right? So now a client can tell that instead of having all this into a single single application data, right? From as per me, I'll create a certification called shared drive access, and based on it, I'll consider it as a single account, single application, and I'll onboard the application. Okay, but client can come back and say based on the server, they want to separate it as to different applications. Shared drive server 1, shared drive server 2, like this. They want to this name is dynamic, right? They can tell how many in future, how many other servers are there, those many separation of applications they wanted. So in that scenario, multiplex application comes into picture. It's only available for delimiter and JDBC. Okay, again I'm making a point. So instead of you splitting this, right, how will you split it? Based on this account server ones, you'll separate all server ones, and server twos you'll separate all server twos, right? Instead of doing that manual work, SailPoint gives you a provision of designing a connector such that I will consider at the front end it will look like a single application, but the way I write the rules inside my build map rule is what matters. Now that we have created the spreadsheet, right? Once we are done with all the today's session parameters, I'll explain you how it will start creating. You understood the business justification of it, right? What they wanted when this multiplex application will come into picture.
Yes.
Multiple applications consolidated into a single file or a single database, but you're splitting it across different applications as different application based on the configuration is what multiplex is. In this scenario, right, it has to auto create the applications, right? If you check this, it will not create the it will not let you create the applications on the go. So this option should not be selected if you're designing a logical connector, if you're doing a multiplex connector. Okay.
So does it have multiple accounts, one identity?
It as you design your regular application, right? Everything it can have multiple access, multiple accounts, whatever you want. But only thing is, based on application, it will get split. At the end of my at the end of my aggregation, right? I need to have server 1 application, server 2 application. Based on this detail, I'll have 2 applications, server 1 and server 2. Whatever is there in server 1 will go as accounts of server 1. Whatever is there in server 2 will go as account 2. So here if you see, right, it's completely 3 different accounts. So 3 accounts in server 2, 3 accounts in server 1. Sorry. This together is 2 different access, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 accounts in server 1. Okay, so when you don't want to do that multiplex operation, this is what it comes in a picture. You can disable it and it will not create the account. It will not create the applications. As a part of Delta, right? I told you if if there is any changes in the account, it will have a flag. SailPoint has an internal flag telling that okay, only these accounts needs to get these accounts have been updated and only these needs to get refreshed. It will mark. If you don't want to do that marking of identities, you have to check this box. That means you want all the accounts which are coming as aggregation to undergo a refresh. You need to check this box. And in client system, it's not like you have only one task, one server, right? You will have multiple servers because it has to do the load balancing, right? In that scenario, if you want to enable partition, you select this. By default, SailPoint gives you 1,000 objects if I'm not wrong, and that if you want to increase the limit, you can increase the limit. Okay, and this is all as to what do you want to see it on the display after the aggregation, how you want to see the task results, how many accounts were created, how many things were deleted, all this. If you want to get the details in the view, this is what you select. Okay, for now, since it's an HR application, I'm going to do I've selected both the applications. I've selected this disable optimization of unchained accounts. Anytime, this is what I usually follow for HR data. I want to do this. Okay, and promote manage attribute. In this scenario, we don't have it, but I'm just marking it ready. Okay, now I'm running the account I'm running the application. If you see, it's only pulled in one set of data. It's not still giving you the manager. It happens in two levels, okay? From your data file, from your data, it will pull and keep a copy of it into your links for your complete accounts to get reflected on the entire identities, right? It has to go through two steps. First is account aggregation, then refresh. If you don't do a refresh, right, 100% you cannot be assured that all the accounts, all the entitlements are properly mapped to your identity level. If you want everything to reflect as expected, you have to do this in series. It's a norm, and until you start quitting the SailPoint projects, right, you have to keep this in mind. First account aggregation, immediately you'll do a refresh. I'll run second set of aggregation again. So what are the this is based on the parameters which I selected in my task result. It will tell you how many was updated, how many were created. I'm sorry, I missed to take the screenshot of the previous one. It would have told you 230 identities created in the first scenario. Now since I ran it for the second time, it's showing us that updated. All the details of your identity will be displayed here. Now refresh identity cube, okay? Here, these are like basically telling you filters on identity level. You want to only refresh this set of identities based on your department, based on your name, all these details, all these filters are based on that. Okay. Right now, since I want to do it all the aggregations, all the identities, I'm selecting these options. You have to do this identity attributes, refresh identity attributes of all entitlement attributes of all links. Okay, for now, select these options: refresh identity attributes, refresh identity entitlements for all links, manager status, assigned and detected roles part, response, active policies, and manage attributes. Go to the mapping for manager. I missed the manager mapping. Same the way we configure first name, last name, right? Go to the manager, select the manager ID from the both the sources. Whoever is not getting the initial error like I got it, let me know. You guys done? Go verify for the accounts, okay? Go to pick up an identity and go verify whatever is the accounts he has. And see anybody who has not been able to get this view, right? Just tell me. Srividya, have you got it?
Yeah, Disha.
Mahati?
I'm doing it.
Shravan?
Yeah, I got it.
Sanjana?
Yeah, I'm doing.
Vidyadhar?
I am doing.
Vishwajit and Asuna?
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
Just give me a good to go ahead. Until then, I'll pause it for a couple of minutes.
Yes, Disha, I got it.
Okay. Any doubts so far, guys?
Sure.
Okay. So next application which will be considered will be you can go to the application finance app application. Okay. So I'll walk you through what is the concept here. Okay. So here we have the account information. That means all my account details are coming from one spreadsheet and associated group information. Let's assume like for this application I've considered this group member as my entitlement. Okay, any details are in with respect to my entitlement, right? I will be getting what kind of details, who is the owner, anything associated, informative details regarding my entitlement, right? I have it in a different spreadsheet. Do you see this? All my, if it is a privileged, or what is the description of this entitlement, what is the purpose of this entitlement, can it be requested in SailPoint or no? Should it be requested in SailPoint or no? Anything, all these informative things will come in a different spreadsheet, but my account details will come in a different spreadsheet. So this concept, okay, this is very simple format, okay. There could be something like AD connector, wherein we have account details will be coming in AD, and underlying, if I am a member of one group, right, in my group details, I will have uh, inheriting details, right? Let's assume like I'm a member of XYZ group. To that XYZ group, who is the manager? What is the SAM account details? What are the different access that is provided to that XYZ group is all mentioned in the group. So in contrary, that is why we have prepared this two-level data. One which gives you account information, one which gives you group information. So that is the concept of account group, okay? Until in HR application, you would have seen only one object type, right? Only one object type account. But right now what we are showing is another object type, which is group. Clear?
Yes, teacher.
So whatever with respect to accounts you configure, right? Same configuration you will do. But when you click on new account type, right? This pop-up comes. In this pop-up, you will be telling what type of it is. Some applications were considered as role, some considered as group, some considered as data access, whatever based on your client requirement and application requirements, you will be configuring new object type here. As soon as you create it, right? So another pop-up will come here. This is how I configured it. Okay. So every time you do a group, right, corresponding in your schema also, it will give you a different view. Initially you would have had just account. Now it will give you another thing. That how many there are applications who have more than one object type also, like an account, group, role, data access, more than one, like that. They can have multiple object types also. In that scenario also it can be implemented. How many ever, there's no restriction, but you can always give that. So in this concept, right, your primary configurations, all the discover schema, everything will come as it is. Only concept will change is what kind of, which attribute, like I mentioned, group member data, right? In my data spreadsheet, that is what I'm telling. I'll get the information from the other spreadsheet, right? So here we have the options to select what kind of attribute this object contains, right? Here, initially when you do it, everything will be in string format. Now I'm telling it that it's a group. Okay, and this managed entitlement multi-valued, you know the purpose, right? If you want to manage anything with respect to this entitlement within SailPoint, I'll have to do this manage. If you what is this associated? Is this is this access related? Is this permission related? We select this entitlement. Does this can account have more than one entitlement? In that scenario, this will become multi-valued. Correlation and correlation, we usually do it for identity attributes. Mining, this is mineable is for role mining purpose. If this attribute needs to be considered for role mining, we have to check this box. For now, it's not required, so I'm just selecting this multi-valued entitlement and managed. How you decide is how you see this data. If you see all these 4 rows of data is associated with different entitlements, right? On a high
Yeah.
level, at least can you see it's the same account, but I have different entitlements, right? That means it's a single account, multiple entitlements. And do you see this data? It is the same account, but he has multiple, it is the same user, but he has multiple accounts, right? This is the account information. This is the account ID. That is what we are considering. So based on this, we should do the merging. If you select it as account, right, you will be losing the second account information. So if you see in the display, I would have marked it as username. You see here, right? This account ID has a contrary of username.
Yes.
Any designing of your any configuration of the application should be depending on how you see the data. Okay, that is why I'm showing you how the data looks like and what configurations I'm trying to do. Do you see this? Are you getting any questions here? So this will be my display attribute, this will be my identity attribute, and this is my group attribute. So same thing, after you configure, if you do a discover schema, you'll get all these attributes. Okay, which attribute of my group name am I going to give? It is a group name, right? You see, this is the group name. So what is our attribute here I'm containing? From this group member, I'm getting the name which is corresponding to this name here. This is what I've considered this identity attribute and display attribute as group name. Okay, so all these configurations. So if you see the data, right, requestable privileged, this is as Boolean, true or false, I have marked it as Boolean here. Same thing with inactive thing. Okay, now correlation. Okay, what am I? This is my data, right? How do I know this account belongs to so and so user? What is the best scenario you can see here with respect to correlation?
Employee ID.
So I'll go create a new it is straightforward, right? I'm having same case also, so I'm just doing a mapping. Employee ID from here to employee ID of my identity object. Okay.
You didn't add it. There is an option to add it.
Okay. And as a part of this application, I've done a customization rule. Here I'm having as per the data, it is showing an inactive status, right? True or false. If it is false, that means it's active, correct? So based on this, I'm writing a correlation logic. So whatever I'm doing in this is called an resource object customization. Okay. So whatever is there in inactive flag, I'm fetching it and I'm setting it into IAQ disabled. For all your applications, this IAQ disable will work. It's a common attribute which marks the account status. When you aggregate the accounts, right, you can see the active and inactive flag in green. Green. That means based on this IAQ disable flag, it will be displayed. So I'm setting this attribute. Let me know if you have any doubts here with respect to these configurations. And based since it's multi-valued, it's coming in different rows of data, right? I need to merge it. I'm taking account ID based on my account ID. I'm trying to merge all these columns. So as far as my account ID is constant, I'll merge all these 4 columns. Same thing here. Since I don't have, it'll be a single row of data for this. I need to do a merging. Which columns will I be merging? Group member columns. This is what I have selected. If you don't have it sorted, you have to uncheck this box. If it is sorted by default, you can check that box. And what is that group? Based on this group, I'm doing a merging on this particular column. This is what I'm saying. If you have multi-valued and if it is coming in different rows of data, it is 100% that you have to do the merging option selected. Otherwise, you will be losing the data. This merging concept is same across in anything, account or group. So since it's a single row of data, it's informative purpose and I don't have any merging to be done in group. So I'm just doing it on the account level. So I have already selected this promote manage attributes earlier. So I'm just keeping it as. So in case you guys have not selected, please go ahead and select this option, promote manage attributes. Okay, it will tell you it has scanned for 34 accounts and one of the accounts it was not able to correlate, so it's created a identity. If you select that create links, if it is not correlated, if you check that this account also we don't not have got created. These many updates, these many entitlements were there, these many entitlement combination of mappings. It's explicit, okay. Anytime I run an aggregation, I will not be repeating. I have to run this refresh task. So how did I get this disabled here is based on that customization rule which I highlighted earlier. Okay, if you see, I showed you this user has 2 different accounts. One is regular account, one is admin account, right? So accordingly, it's got created. When I click on this account information, whatever details you had it there, right? It will reflect you. Any questions here with respect to account group configurations? E-card you are doing, right? Until you give test DB e-card, she's not able to import it. That is what she's meaning.
Any other completion
Types, right? You can get these parameters. You see this, right? I've added into the same spreadsheet which was shared here on the zip file. If you are using MySQL, this needs to get updated too. If you are not confident as to what your driver and what your URL looks like, always go back to the configuration which you have done it on the IdentityIQ parameters. Go to your Tomcat, IdentityIQ web banners folder, classes. Inside your IQ properties, you will always have the, based on your database only, you would have updated this, right? So here you can get this URL. Get the same URL, but here the database name will change. If you are using it as testdb, change this to testdb, and whatever is the password you have given, accordingly change it. Okay. And driver class, this will remain constant. Irrespective, this will not change. Only changes will be here. Okay. In the URL, okay. So accordingly change this. SQL query need not have any changes. Right.
what's your database name like when we create, right? Is it SDB underscore TS or SDB?
In my script or your script, Shami?
Your scripts.
TS is the table space.
Table space is table name. Database name.
No, it's kind of a placeholder. It's on top of that only I install my database.
Okay, but database name?
SDB.
SDB.
As far as I know, if you are using MySQL also, right, you can always configure the SQL server, a SQL developer. In SQL developer, I don't think so. These changes needs to matter. It will remain constant as it is, for at least for MySQL and Oracle databases. If you see all these constraints, right, it remains almost the same.
For
I think you can use from here to here. You can use the script as it is for if you are using
that will work in SQL Server also. Just the varchar 2 instead of varchar 2, it will be varchar.
So if you guys are not 100% sure how this whole thing works, right, you always have the SQL scripts, right, from SailPoint. So go in sequence whatever I suggested there accordingly, keep an anomaly and create it. That's it. Like I said, I don't have any restriction. It's just we want to have a JDBC application also. For that purpose only we are doing it. Shriviti, were you able to do this until here? Update the SQL developer and SQL driver and URL. Give the parameters whatever you gave it, and do a test connection.
Yeah, I'm just doing it.
And one small mistake, change this test connection to 110. I've given some 10-digit number, change it to 110.
Okay.
Used to create the database, okay? To log into the whatever idea you are using it, and to log into that whatever username password you use, that is what is visible to that user only, it will be visible. So accordingly, change these conditions, and URL is based on the data type and driver also. So if you see the database, right, this is what you will see the content, right? So to do a test connection, I'm filtering just for one user, and this is the overall for me to do the aggregation. I need to do I need not have any filters, so I'm doing this. And this one is to do a single account aggregation. Okay, this will get hard coded. This will always be in the form of $identity, and every time you do an aggregation, right, it will get replaced with the identity object. Here, this whatever is your identity attribute, based on it, it will get updated. So if you're running this particular single account aggregation for 112, this row of data will be displayed. If you're doing it here, it will get accordingly whatever is a card holder value, it will get updated when you're doing the single account aggregation. So that is why this get object is with $identity. Okay, right now I have not done the merging because I'm giving a single account, single entitlement for each account. So schema will be pretty simple: email, cardholder ID, status, and job group. Job group is my entitlement here, and it is managed and entitlement, and it is a single attribute, so I'm not giving multi-valued. If you see, this is what I'm giving it as the card ID, which is the both my display attribute and my identity attribute is ID, card ID. Correlation, I'm going to do it with email ID, email attribute from my application to email attribute of my identity. Okay. And if you go to the roles, I have written a customization role similar to the one in previous case. There I had it as status, which was directly mapping it. Here I'm checking if it is equal to active. That means it is for IAQ disabled is false. Else it will be true. This is the changes that has been made. Okay, for each and every record, this will get called. Okay, so that is why highlighting it here. These are the configuration that is done on the primary level. And I'm sure in your basic training, Shrikant or Archana would have explained you what each of these roles mean, right? If you're not doing a correlation with mapping here, you need to write the correlation rule here. For every account, you pick the attributes, make sure that you correlate to the return an identity object or identity name in the correlation rules. And in creation rule, this will come every time a new identity is getting created. You want to set this display name as combination of first name, last name, anything like that. You have to do this in the creation rule. In case you don't have this mapping, right, as in we saw it in the HR data, we'll be using it in the manager correlation rule. Same thing, the name of the identity or identity object has to be returned here. Customization rule, there is two examples, one in delimiter application and one in JDBC application. Managed entitlement. No, you can refer it back to the refresh in the previous example, finance application refresh rule. It does the same purpose as your managed entitlement. This will get executed only when your entitlement is getting created for the first time. And before provisioning and after provisioning, if you must be aware of it, since it's a customized. This is a read-write connector, right? We'll have before provisioning, and if any logic has to get executed, you will be writing the code here, and it is after provisioning based on the status. If you want to do the audit, do some processing, you will be doing it in the after provisioning rule. And this customization rule is similar to this customization, so any one-side configuration should do enough. Bill map rule, it acts very similar to your customization rule, but it is only visible. It is available for delimiter and JDBC applications. Okay. Like I showed you the merging options in previous content, right? If you don't do the merging there, you can do it in the rule format also. That this is a placeholder for that. And for each and every operation in your SailPoint, right, you will be able to do this. You can separate it out into different provisioning rules. When an enable account request is coming, this role will get executed. When disable request is coming, this will get executed. So based on each and every object operation, these corresponding rules will get called. Okay. If you go to the debug page, you'll be able to see what are the operations your connector can do. This configuration will remain constant for all the applications. Okay, you're not confident enough with the other out-of-box connectors. If it's does the or disable, enable all that operations, you can always go back to this operation here, feature string. It lets you do the discover schema. It lets you do the provisioning. It lets you do the sync provisioning. Direct permission, search, enable, unlock. These are the things which it will let you do. This is what they mean by the feature string. Okay. So after you have just updated, please go ahead and run the aggregation and refresh task in sequence. So these are the 3 or 4 entitlements which it has come. You can always go back to each of the entitlement and see who are the members of it, okay? You'll be able to see these details and vice versa also. Are we clear so far?
Yes, this. Yes, Disha.
Okay.
Yes, Disha.
Next, I'm going to explain
Disha.
what is the content of the rules, whatever we have written, okay, provisioning rules, and we'll do at this test scenario of all the operations here. So this is how your data is looking like. So first and foremost, when a new account is getting created, right? When a request is coming to create a new account, what should happen is what this rule will tell you. Okay? Basically, as per it's a straightforward connector, right? So you're telling, first of all, you're going to get the list of count. How many records are there? If you see right the code here, it's in sequence, right? 110, 110, 111, 112, 113. That it's always in sequence, right? So my next record which I added will be one number greater than the count of this, correct? For that purpose, I'm doing a select query here that will give me the count. And next is my insert query, where based on all these 4 parameters, I'll be able to commit the transaction, okay? And always on new account creation, I'm going to create it as an active account. I'm not going to keep it as disabled account. Every time on new account creation, I'm hard coding it into active. Okay. So if you're not, are you able to see my screen clearly, or you want me to open it in debug page for better visibility?
Yes, sir, please.
So here, right, if you see, I'm doing this provisioning result as new provisioning result. I'm setting it to default false. Only if my execution, end-to-end execution, whatever I'm expecting is completed end-to-end, is when I'll be making it as committed. Otherwise, I'm always going to make it as failed. Okay. And this is the query count which I told you, and this is the insert query which I told you. And now I'm going to keep it as blank. If at all I don't have a job code coming in my plan, I'm going to keep it as blank. This entitlement, right? If I'm not able to get a proper validation of an entitlement, I'm going to go keep it as blank. So that is why I've hard coded this. And the email and null, all these are defaulted to zeros and nulls. Okay. First, I'm going to check if my plan always okay for my input for my provisioning process will be plan. If you see here, right, these are the arguments. This is your context, this is your application object, this is your schema object, this is the connection to say whatever connector you're using, right? Connection to that plan request. This is your access request. So based on my plan is what I want to do it, right? So that is what I'm doing it here. If my plan is not equal to null and plan dot get account attributes. If it is not equal to null, I'm going to get the identity object. I'm just showing you the previous example, okay? For you to understand it better. So this is how my plan will look like if I'm raising it for a create request, okay? Here, this is what is my identity object. Plan.getNativeIdentity will give me my login name of the user. This is what I'm trying to get. context.getObject by name, identity.class, plan.getNative identity. This will return me my username. So this is nothing but an identity object, right? From my identity object, I'm going to get the email ID. Okay, next I need to get the details of my job code, from the plan, right? So I have this account request. Here is my entitlement value, right? GPA, and this is my value. So what am I supposed to get? I have account request, plan.get account request will give me list. This is always going to be a list, okay? From this list, I'll keep iterating until I get this application. For this application, I get the list of account attribute request. And from this attribute request, I'll get the name and value. And based on this operation, add. And if it is create, it will always be add, okay? So here, what am I doing? Plan.get account request will return me a list. That is nothing but I'm doing it a for loop directly. From here, I'm going to get the attribute request, list of attribute request for job code. It's a list. So here again, I'm going to iterate it and get the value, key value pairs, right? Since it's add, I'm going to get it as attribute request of get value. At the end of it, what do I need? I have the job code, I have the email. What else do I need to insert the query? All of you. I have 4 inputs, right? I'm hard coding active status. I am getting email and job code. What else do I need it to have a complete insert statement?
Card ID.
Card ID. So what is the logic for card ID? I'm supposed to get the count from the table, right? That is what I'm getting it here. That count plus 110. Because my counting has started from 111, right? So that count plus 110 plus count will be inserted as card ID. Second email, third is job code. Clear?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here until here is the execution, right? If anywhere in between it's getting if it is failing, right? I'll always add the error. What is the error statement to this result? This is nothing but the provisioning result, right? Provisioning result will be a placeholder for your status and errors. So I'm adding the error. And if after successful execution, I'm closing the statement. Here, if my provision result.get errors is null, or if I don't have any errors, that is when I can 100% take it as my operation, whatever I was planning to do, is successfully executed, right? Oh, this is the condition for that. If I don't have any errors, or if my count of error size is 0, in that scenario only I'm making it as committed. Otherwise, by default, it was always failed, right? So this is what will get returned. Okay, then plan.set provisioning result and will be set. I'm getting an input of plan. I'm still passing the plan output, but this time with the provisioning result updated. Okay.
A small correction. So what happened with this code, right? It will send a plan, and it will create a link in SailPoint with question marks. So we are not setting the account request native entity. If you check your plan, you do not have the native entity in the account request. So once I made the change, that one line change,
Okay,
it
for
creates.
that.
3 lines, right, Shikhar? You need to add the count before the.
I tried creating a policy in setting the entity attribute, native entity, but for that we need to query it again, database. Field value rule should be But connection is not available in the field value.
That's fine.
Please stop. But our native entity is different case sensitive, right? The value you put it.
You said something, Shikha?
No, the native entity you set it as a lower case, but in field value or in field provisioning policy field, you used uppercase.
No, Shrikant. We have lowercase. Disha have uppercase.
Oh, this have the uppercase.
It's uppercase.
Okay. Christmas. Thirteen. 19. So we don't have to insert with the card ID.
I have shared the working file, Disha.
Okay. One small change case. So here,
What if
what
we have multiple account requests in plan?
to my plan, I'm going here only once, right?
Yes.
So we have this option of provisioning policies, okay? So when I'm based on operation, when I'm creating or modifying, right? If through my request access, first thing is it will get called. All these attributes will get called along with my entitlements. So basically, when it comes to the plan, right, or whatever is calculated, it will have this attribute request like this. Okay, so since I've made it as cardholder ID is nothing but the identity object for this application. So here it will come as native identity and the value, whatever is calculated from the rule, it will come here. The rest of it will remain as it is. And from instead of me calculating the cardholder again there, I'm going to fetch it from the account request and populating it into the insert statement. Okay, next is modify. So when I'm going to raise a request for modify or remove request, accordingly I'm fetching it. So same thing, however your plan looks like, okay, you'll have add and remove, otherwise you'll get only remove requested. If you're getting add, whatever is your job code, that will be fetched in a similar way. This segment won't change it. Okay, but if you don't have any rows of data, right, that means if you're always removing the data, we have to hard code it to blank. Okay, so I'm keeping it as defaulted to blank in case I don't have add request, but if it is only remove request, it will get blank in modify scenario. Okay, like if you see, this is an update, right? Update on the job code and based on the cardholder ID. When it comes to disable, it is similarly based on cardholder ID. I'm setting it to active or inactive. If I'm getting a request for disable, it's supposed to execute this. If it's going to come for enable, I need to make it as active. But this is your disable rule, and you guys will be writing in enable rule. So if I go here, right, to my manage access, manage accounts, I'll pick this user 117. He has an 117 account, right? So I'm going to disable. It was active initially, right? Now it will get disabled. If you see here, it was active, right? It will get disabled. Similarly, let's try to add a entitlement admin to this 113 account, okay? So if you see, as soon as you submit a request, you're going to get an access request. If you see here under my work admin access request, you'll be able to see all the details. What is that attribute, for whom it was created, what is the access, what is the account, and if it is failed, it will tell you why it failed. Error will come here in the error page. Since it's completed, it's committed. So let's go run the query and update it. Let's go update it to admin. This user doesn't have that account. I want to raise an entitlement. Since he doesn't have an account, it should come as create. Okay. When we shared you the query, there were 10 rows of data, right? This is the new row of data which is not added. Okay, Shikant.
Yes.
So you can always go back to your logs and check how your plans are looking, okay? For your create account. I told you native identity will come here, right? So it's come here. And what is the entitlement? GPA. And this is for modify account, right? From GPA, it got updated to admin, right? So this is a new attribute request for admin. This was disabled, right? Any questions?
No, Disha. No, Disha.
Mahati and Shaviti.
No, Disha.
No, Disha.
This plays major role in your coding, like the way you understand. So try to be more clear.
So
And
you understood, right? I think I showed the example which we showed with provisioning plan, right? It did make a difference, right? The initial plan which I showed you in logs, it did not have a native identity. But here it has a native identity. How is? Because we made the changes in the provisioning policies. Okay, like that. If you see by default, I'm hard coding it as to active, right? The access is always active on create account, right? This time I am doing an active, right? Always. So this also by default on my create, I can pass it as I can keep a placeholder for active. Status is equal to active. So in that scenario, like I'm fetching for job code, right? I'll need to fetch for attribute, account request dot get status. In that scenario, I'll get the active, whatever the value which is active. So like this, when I have a placeholder for card ID, right? Like that, I'll have to keep a placeholder for status and accordingly update it here. So it's all business about how you implement. Okay, this is how I implement it. If you were given it, how differently would you implement it? So since all of you will have this application and all these roles are available to you, I'll reshare this role and application XML again for this particular changes whichever we did. You can just go ahead and import them, and you should be able to have it.
Okay, Disha.
Just like I said, there are chances that it will override the changes. Just make sure that you redo the work. Redo, or otherwise you can do a compare, and whatever is changed, only those you can make the changes. Any questions?
No, Disha.
Okay, if it is not too much, do we want to close that multiplex application, or you want to you want to continue with the next session?
Yeah, sure, Disha.
So similar to the first application which we created, right? Same thing. I prepare whatever data I prepared it in the session. Same thing. I'm importing it. I'm doing a delimiter application. I'm doing a merging based on employee ID and shared drive. We discussed it has multiple entitlements, right? So for that purpose, I'm doing it. I'm based on employee ID and shared drive. I'm doing it. And for testing purpose, I've kept everything as it is, and I'm keeping it as multi-valued and managed. Only change here is writing the bill map rule. If you're writing a multiplex application, right, these two attributes are mandatory. IIQ source application, we should tell you to which application that particular row of data should go. In our scenario, we told that if server one in whatever is there in server column, that is the application name, right? It should split as application name, right? So I'm mentioning whatever is there as server as application name, employee ID, and keeping it as a username. So IIQ source application, IIQ multiplex identity. These two has to be put into a map and return. This is what you have to do it in your bill map role if you're doing a multiplex connector. Okay. This configuration is done here. Correlation, since it's still employee ID, I'm using it as employee ID. Sure, I'm not checked it, okay. Do you see here?
Yes, this.
They'll have the same configurations. I told you server one will have 5 applications, 5 accounts, right? Any questions? No, Disha.
No, Disha.
No, Disha.
So these are the applications you can start exploring, okay? With whatever content, whatever logical implementation, with respect to your field value rules, everything you can play around here in these kind of examples. You can always replicate, right? Now you have created a database. You can however you want it, you can design your SQL tables and play around. Okay. Can all of you open the files which was shared today, and in that we have day 1 assignments. Open both the files. A spreadsheet is provided and the content is provided as notes, okay? So this is your to-do task, okay? We have given you a CSV file which needs to be onboarded as a delinquent application. Okay, so here Can you just, all of you just unmute it and say an yes or no at least?
Yes, teacher.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes,
In
Nisha.
email, right, you have a combination, whatever is your email address, right? Like this guy, james.smith@demoexample.com is what is there in the SailPoint. But we don't have at the rate. So whatever is there before at the rate is what is there in the email. So this one is the content for correlation. This is your account name, and this is your active status, account status, and combination of these two. Okay, courses and course A, course B together will be forming as entitlement.
Okay. Okay. Oh,
Okay, that is what you're supposed to build. So combination of it, you have to treat it as a new attribute called courses. This is what will be treated as entitlement. Okay, so I want a correlation rule with that logic without email. You need to query identity IQ tables, get it without email. So whatever substringing, everything will be written in correlation rule. Courses, like I said, combination of it, you'll have to write it either in customization or build map rule. If you're writing customization rule, this active status, right? I told you IQ disabled is based on this active status. So accordingly, handle both of it in the logic. And then I want all entitlements to have an owner as application owner. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
and they have to be requestable. So when you go back to entitlement catalog, right, you should have a owner and you should have it as requestable. This owner should be an application owner. An application owner, you can mark it as 1C. Notice not there, just add it into your notes and keep it into reference. Okay, this is with respect to application onboarding of Lenel. Second thing is e-card application. We did explain you about your all the rules, right? Create rule, modify rule, and disable rule. You will replicate disable rule as enable rule. Whatever that negation or whatever it is, we want you to write a enable rule. And on when a delete account is coming, how you will be handling the delete request. Like I suggested, always if you don't know how you are supposed to proceed, always go create a rule. Just print the plan as it is. Just an example, right? Don't do anything. Just go print the plan as it is. From your logs, you should be able to use your existing 3 or 4 rows, whatever is provided. Based on it, you should be able to do it. What are you supposed to do on delete? It should go ahead and delete the row of data, right, for a given cardholder ID. So accordingly, we want you to write a delete logic.
Okay.
Enabled rule, delete rule, and in after provisioning rule, we want you to do an audit if based on the status, right? If it is failed or passed through or whatever it is, we want you to write an audit and send a notification to users manager. If let's assume like you are raising a request for 1C, manager for 1C is 1A. In that scenario, it has to go, email has to go to his manager. As a part of your imports, right, we have given you a common rule library. Here we have given you the custom audit event. All you have to do is do a plan. Okay, pass this plan as input and you should be able to get an audit event. And you have this send notification. Inputs to the send notification is the name of the template, to address you're trying to send, and for which user it was created. Like I said, 1C will be the username, email address of 1A, and email template name you have to hard code it. We have given you this common rule as it is. Send email notification is there, even the audit event is there. All you have to do is accordingly call it based on the logic. Here you have the create notification, right? You can go through it and go through both of these roles and come up with the after provisioning. One quick thing before you do the audit, right? All of you go to the debug page. Audit config. Object type is audit config. Go ahead and go add that line in the place where I'm highlighting. Just before your audit actions closing, just go ahead and add it. In the rule, we have written logic such that only if this audit action is enabled, we will be doing an audit. Okay, if it is not enabled, we will not do the audit. That is why it is. I have to add that entry key and I have to make it as enabled. Same thing, whatever customization you want to do, you can do it here. You want to know how the plan looks like, how you are fetching it. It's just for your reference, and we cannot just give you a blunt reference, right? So we are giving it as an assignment and reference. This and all, if I were in the initial phases, I would have asked you to write all this logic by yourself. But here we are providing everything to you and asking you to write the just call the methods by passing the right inputs. Everything is already fed to you, just you have to know where exactly what you're supposed to pass, how you're supposed to pass. If all the references are here only. If you want to know what is the email address, I did show you one place where you're fetching the identity object, right? Similarly, you can fetch the identity objects.getManage. All this you'll have to start exploring and come up with a solution.
And can you show them email configuration to write to it extra?
So go to your global settings in IdentityIQ configurations, redirect it into file. So give a file path where you want to write your email. Wherever your logs are, right, you can just give it the same location.
So it will SailPoint cannot send in direct email to your local, so we'll just write it to a file and verify the email template.
So since you're always writing it, right, by default it will always come to something like this. If you're given that file path, right, give the file path such that it will always come, and this is how you will get it. For home, from home to home it was sent. It was meant to be all these details. It's a simple template where it will tell, like example I showed you, right? 1C has an account created in eCard application. That's all it will tell. And subject will be eCard account created for 1C. It's a simple email template. Everything is there provided to you. All you have to do is call the right methods, pass the right inputs. Any questions?
No, Disha. No, Disha.
No, Disha.
What do you guys think? Is it doable, not doable, or you can try it and come up with the answers? Or is it a little too much to handle it on day one, you think?
Let's play with this. So
If you
this
can,
entitlement owner, yeah,
Sorry?
this entitlement owners would be application owners. So that's I'll try that one. For learned application.
Yes, learn application, you'll have to do it. So I'll give you a hint if you want. You will call whatever application you configure in your managed attribute customization tool, you will be able to do it.
Okay.
Attribute.set owner, whatever details. You have application object, you have a attribute object, right? Attribute object is nothing but entitlement object. So however you want to pass, you can. So there is this rule called the one which was throwing error, right? Finance refresh rule. Here also you have, right?
Yeah.
Similar to you can it is similar but not same. Okay, so accordingly.
Okay. Yeah, I can do.
Means we need to.
So this is my application. Prepare a database wherein you have list of details. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I want you if let's assume like in this scenario, right? Account one and server one. If he has admin account, right? No. Okay. Let me give you an export of this. Okay. Let me know if you're able to see the. Okay, name columns you just can give whatever it is, okay. But this is your account name, this is your server details, this is your correlation, active status, admin. I mean this fifth column, one, two, three. Fifth column is your entitlements and last column is your type of account.
okay.
Okay. If your account type is group, right? It has to have a logical application account.
Okay.
Understood?
Understood. Yep.
Okay.
So you want me to give you this export or you will prepare a test data?
Can
Please.
you please share?
Is there any significance for server one, account name, the server name?
So let me show you an example, okay? I won't show you the code. If you want, I'll give you a glance, but I'll want you to write the code as it is, okay? So this is my connector, okay? Just to fetch my Windows application data. So this is the details, right? Whatever I showed you in the 6 columns, this is what is the details. And job code is multi-value. Into the one column had a comma separated value, right? That one was multi-valued. So this is how my accounts look like.
Okay.
Okay, so let's assume like whatever the group category, right? If my category is group, that means I need to get an account on the logical application, right?
Yes.
And here account name should be display attribute and identity attribute, and instance has to be server name.
Okay.
Okay, this configuration at the primary level. Okay, next is the logical application. So here the configuration is such that I configure my primary tier as test windows. Okay. Here, two levels, okay. One, it's like if I have admin users or let's take this admin entitlement, okay. if I have admin entitlement on this application, I can get a lower this application. In this scenario, what I'll do is I'll do a matching here. This will only give me entitlement. When I do this mapping, right, account matching, right, it's only entitlement based.
Okay.
So if I have this job code, that means whoever has this job condition satisfied, he'll get this logical application account.
Okay.
But I don't want you to do that. This is simple, right? This is the only configuration you will have to do. And by default, since you selected this Windows, right, the schema, when you do a preview, discover schema, it will flow back.
Yes.
This is straightforward. If you want for test purpose, you can create it and see. But what I want here is, I don't want you to do it on account matching.
Okay.
I want you guys to write a rule here in account rule.
Okay.
Okay. Here you will have input arguments as identity and application. In identity, you can get the list of his links, right? From his link, you will check what is the parameters. If your category is group, you will add this logical application link.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes.
Composite link is nothing but a list of links. If he wants a single link, you can return a single link. If user has more than one link, right, he can have multiple accounts also, right? In that scenario, list of links. So always, I would suggest you to go with the list of links. If it satisfies, return it. Otherwise, return it as empty list.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, you can play. Like I said, I don't want to force anybody because I'm not just on a high level only. I've explained it, right? So I don't want to force it. If you want to do it, and if not now, at a later point of time, you guys can do it. This is your primary data, Shrikant, not your logical data.
Okay.
The column head has everything is in your control. Only data I've given it, so accordingly you can fix it.
Sure.
So the account which I showed you, right? He has a group, right? So I'll be hard coding it. This is the links he is getting it. Okay. If you do in account matching, right, you won't be getting the entitlement. Whatever you see here, right? After you're done with aggregation also, in entitlement catalog, you will be getting this Windows logical application entitlements. But if you do it in account matching, entitlement won't come. Because you're filtering based on entitlement, right?
Okay.
So only if you write this rule, you'll get the entitlement, otherwise you won't get this entitlement.
How does the access management to this applications work?
Usually these kind of things will not have a it's like if I have access to, okay, let's say I have an access, all these clients will have some ODCs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's very secure to enter these ODCs. So if I have access to that ODC, that means to that floor I need to get access by default. So in that scenario, these logical applications come into picture. It's not physically there.
Okay.
But that is how they derive it. They could have it in a spreadsheet, but they don't want to share it to you. But they would have told you, okay, from this we are trying to derive it. That derived thing is nothing but implemented through these logical applications.
Okay.
I can still take it as, like, if I want to do the provisioning, I'll have to redirect it through the integration config.
Okay.
I can be sending a work item. So I can send a work item, whatever I want to do. At that level, I can, but just want you to do it at the high level. I want you to show me based on that conditions, I can get an account.
And is there any difference between multiplex and logical?
Multiplex and
Logical.
there is tons of difference, right? Multiplex, all the applications in that spreadsheet or the table will have the same schema.
Okay.
Here, what is it? It's not separating it out of two different applications, right? It is deriving it from one another.
So multiplex is having same schema but different database tables, like different data.
So that shared drive example, I don't know if you followed.
That's fine. That's when I think it's getting too late. But yeah, I can take.
Okay, just example. Okay, you have that Epic SCR linking process. Okay, or you might be having it into different servers, right?
Yes.
So what Rhapsody does is it picks up the file and just imports it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, it's the same Rhapsody process, but let's assume like it is the same Rhapsody process for dev environment and QA environment, but it's two different file locations, two different data, right? But output of the file will be still in the same location, correct?
Yes.
In that scenario, somewhere they would have embedded telling that this is corresponding to dev and this is corresponding to QA. If you want to separate it out, how will you separate it in if they give you that data in a spreadsheet?
Okay. Based on the server name, we need to differentiate.
Based on their environment would have been dev or QA, right? So based on it, you will separate it out into two different application SCR linking details.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
But since I have this primary account, I'll be getting this. There are chances that I can get this secondary account. That is what the in this logical application mean.
I got it. Thank you.